Jesus, I believe.
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 I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Jesus, I believe.
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 I believe in you. Gesù, io credo in te.
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 Gesù, io credo.
Hi, my name is Father Dennis Omai on the Youth Empowerment Program. Today we are also privileged to have our guest again on this program where we want to discuss much more about the lives of the young people and what they are going through. Today we want to talk about what age do we become conscious in making life choices, all discovering the purpose of life. Before we get into this, let us know our guests.
Hi, my name is Josephine Wanjiku. I am a counseling psychologist. I'm happy to be here again on this youth empowerment program.
And we want to talk about real issue that many young people are finding it challenging. Yes, today we want to bring you this because we have already had an experience of young people getting a challenge on making the right choice or discovering their life purpose. In my book, The Whole Life is a Mission, I've written that article where I ask this question: at what age or when do we discover our life purpose? On page 26 on this book, I decided to do some research to know who said what in human development. And on this, when I looked and made a reflection, I found that we become conscious of changes of our life from the age of adolescence. And this is where we want to create an awareness to the young people to become conscious of what they might have gone through or what they are going through when they are on this stage. Yolanda Williams talks about adolescence in three phases. Early adolescence, where she talks about for 10 to 14 is an age where young people experience physical changes. And in physical changes, then they realize growth, that sometimes many become uncomfortable, but then that's not enough. There are some changes that happens leading young people into confusion, which we can deepen or we can just have it like young people deepening their voices, growing periods. The same that happens with the girls. They start experiencing their menstrual period. Look at that. The second stage where she talks about middle adolescent. This is where then these young people discover that there is something that is happening to them. Now they want to get attraction. They want to do things because they want to see who can recognize them and what people will comment about the way they look. Something that young people need to be cautious about. And where we want to lay our focus today is when Yolanda Williams talks about the late adolescent, age of 18 to 21. Middle adolescent is 15 to 17, but 18 to 21, there is something that we need to realize. The age of identity. And here the big question is, who am I? Let me go to Josephine and here. What can you talk about adolescence in general?
Yes, Father, I concur with what you've said. Adolescence is a transition between childhood and adulthood. And you've talked about confusion in adolescence. And I would like to introduce another psychologist. His name is Eric Erickson. He has done something on developmental psychology, and what he talks about is he talks about different stages we have in life, and one of them is identity and role confusion. When Eric Erickson talks about identity and role confusion, here he's talking about adolescents who are in the age between 12 and 20 years there. So what he says is that when these children or they're children transiting from childhood to adulthood, when they are in this stage, they are trying to find their purpose in life. They are trying to answer the question of who am I, what am I going to achieve, and they want to find out who they are. So what happens is, as they are going through these challenges of identifying themselves, if they are able to find who they are, what they want to be, and how they are going to work towards achieving what they want, they are able to gain their identity. But what happens if they are not able to get this identity? They will engage in things like peer pressure, which can result into drinking, can result into dangerous driving, and which can cause accidents and stuff. They can engage into immoral sexual behaviors, which can have advanced consequences. So that's when they go through what is called role confusion.
Now that we have agreed with Josephine on the reality of the confusion among young people at the age of adolescence, we want to look at how can we help these young people to get out of this stage that we have had. It is a transition moment from childhood to adulthood. This is where we want to use three terms here: culture, traditions, and religion. We want to use three terms so that we can help any young person to get a positive transition to their adulthood. And here, when we talk about culture, we realize that it's an umbrella of all that social behavior of any young person or any person in the society that comes to show what the person knows, what they believe, what norms they have gone through, customs. All these affect a person. Therefore, it's good to ask, what is my culture? And that's why in my book, again from page 26, when I ask this big question, when do you become conscious of your life purpose, to get us understand rightly what culture can mean for anyone, in my book I've quoted Kate Garriott, who says this, that we get to interact at every moment at least 250 people who gives us what we call tribal identity. We heard from Josephine about confusion of role identity. Here we are talking about tribal identity, and where I want to bring to the awareness of young people that we belong to a group of people closer to us. We learn from, interact, and do much more. This is where we are going to pick our culture. And that's why when we talk about this, I want to go back to Josephine and hear what she has to say about what we can learn from the people around us as young people.
Well, in adolescence, the people who influence them most is their peers. And this is because even as they're interacting with them, They spend most of the times with them. They learn new things from the media and also observing other people. So what happens psychologically is that when they are observing these people, they retain the information that they are observing. And after that, after sometimes they may be able to. In the modern day, adolescents mostly are influenced by their peers because they are the people they enjoy most hanging around with them. But when I say this, I'm not leaving behind the parents, because also if an adolescent is very close to their parents and they have a good relationship, they also stand a chance of still having that close relationship with their parents, and they can also learn if they are open to their parents. They can share, they are corrected, and they can make good choices, and adolescence can be a beautiful age. On the positive note, the adolescent, if they have a good relationship with their parents, and they have especially an open relationship whereby if they are facing any challenges, they can discuss openly. The parent can correct or maybe give more information to these adolescents, and the adolescent can be empowered to make right decisions. So the adolescent can have a smooth shift from childhood to adulthood. On the other hand, if this relationship is not close, or they are not free to share what is happening to them, the adolescent stands a very high chance to get influenced by other peers. And this can be dangerous because not all the time these peers can be influencing in a positive note. I mean, it is positive when the peers have positive behaviors whereby maybe they are taking this time to know who they are, they are serious about how they are going to achieve what they want. So that is positive influence. On the other hand, it can be negative. For example, if the peer influence is on immorality or maybe drugs or maybe other negative behaviors that can mislead that adolescence. So the peer plays a big role because, these are people of the same age, they are facing the same challenges. So mostly an adolescent can lean into the advices or the misleadings that they could get from these peers, from the influence they're getting from their age mates.
Right, we have heard it from Josephine, how she's saying about that crisis moment. And I want to repeat it again so that I make it clear to any young person watching us. There is a movement from what is happening in your life physically. There is what is going to be received positively or negatively with your peers and the people around you, and there is need to establish to the right way where you need to go. And that's why I want to go back what Yolanda said about 3 levels of adolescent: early adolescent, middle, and late adolescent. We have seen it, yes, at the beginning. There is physical development or changes. We are talking about how it is received by the peers or the people around you, where you can pick either positive or negatively, but we want to help you to incline to the positive aspect. When we get that this development of your behavior and learning system that will come to affect your belief system, the laws that you would like to ascribe to the beliefs of your life, we want to talk about the transition that is going to be positive and effective. This is what tradition is all about. We can pass the right norms that you need to learn from your parents. We can pass the right laws that you need to learn from institutions and wherever you are, the right knowledge you will receive. You can talk about behavior development, all this. But there is an aspect also we need to talk about your faith, because we talk about tradition as the doctrine of belief system that we don't find in the scriptures. That is the aspect we want to see. What young people need to know. It has to be all round. That information you need to seek to know, even share it, so that you can have the right footing for you to get to discover who you are in that society and where you need to go as your life purpose. So Josephine, now I want you to talk to these young people. Being aware of the learning and the development at the same time, what kind of encouragement would you give them, or caution would you give them for what they need to know?
As Professor Mbiti said, Africans are notoriously religious, in that in the traditional time and even up to today, you'll find that Africans, we still hold our culture and our traditions so dear to us from those days until today. And when you come to the modern world, it is contrary to that. We find that there are some people, especially studies show in America and other places in the Western world, that people choose to be spiritual and not religious. And this has been affecting not only the Western countries, it is also coming into the modern or developing worlds. So what do I mean when I say spiritual and not religious? So maybe we can first by defining what religion and spirituality is. When we talk about spirituality, it's about finding meaning and purpose in life. It is also about connecting with a higher power, people around us, and also the environment. It is also getting to a point of transcendence, that is getting to what is beyond us. It is also about achieving our highest potential. So that's what we mean by spirituality. When you talk about religion, it's about a belief in a supernatural being who is beyond us and somebody whom we can surrender entirely to. We also express our spirituality through our religion when we congregate in churches and we fellowship together. So when we talk about people who say that they are spiritual and not religious, these are people who connect well with people. You will find they give act of kindness. For example, they help people who are going through challenges, maybe by giving donations. You will find them, they connect with a higher power, they pray, but they don't go to church, so they don't fellowship with people. So that's what I mean when I talk about spirituality, those people who are spiritual but not religious.
We have had that confusion that can be in the life of a young person. That yes, it feels good to be spiritual, and which I can see that is happening around the world, and the young people get to ascribe to it quickly. Because yes, they will say they believe in a higher being, that is God. And sometimes some fall into gods, which we need also to be conscious. Something can be presented that can be seen as a supernatural, but it is not real God. Then they are not ready to get into a particular religion. This is where we need to help young people to be cautious of why religion is very important. Because if we have to talk about passing on traditions, which we talk about in this case, doctrinal, something that has been lived, proved, and has worked with a group of people. We want to prepare our young people to be ready to take that leap of faith. Yes, it is very important. We believe, all of us, in God. We need to then calm down, live our faith with our fellow human beings, because the learning process will never stop. If you come to ascribe to only a spiritual life, you will end up falling to what happens into the middle adolescent, where you only want to learn from those who accept you, trust you, and maybe appreciate what you do. There's that tendency in this world of the young people where they would want to get into a religion, no, a spirituality, where they just, yes, we worship God, we do charity work, we are believers, and that's all. But remember this, a particular religion has got structures from leadership, from the way of worship, that keeps you on the same practices, which is very necessary. And that's why we want to also hear from Josephine. Why do we need to become religious for us to grow our spiritual life? Yes.
When we talk about religious spirituality, we are talking about a person having a high level of spirituality and also a high level of religiosity. So this is whereby a person is able to search for meaning, connect with people, and also a higher power. They're able to drive or strive to get their highest potential. On the other hand, they are fellowshipping with people in the communities, that is church, and also they are able to surrender to a higher power. I suggest this religious spirituality as the ideal form of identification of a young person or any other person that could be.
Yes, Josephine has said it right. We need a religious spirituality. We need to get to bond with people who believe in the same norms, laws, ways of expressing our faith, so that at the end of the day, we come to realize the fact that faith is lived. When we will only incline about spiritual life, where we talk about believing in God and doing some things to express our faith, it's not enough until we become a family of witnesses. And I guess this is why St. Teresa of Avila says, we can never know God until we know ourselves. We all know human beings are social beings. Therefore, it's necessary as young people to know the importance of relating with the right people that you can learn from, the people who can help you make the right choices, to discover what Prophet Jeremiah talks about, the purpose of life. When we read Jeremiah 29:11, it says, God knows the plans He has for you. The plans full of prosperity, not for war. So we need as young people to get into this religious belief with people who are mature to learn from, with systems that are well structured, to keep practicing these beliefs for us to become what God wants us to be. It is, yes, need to be clear in our minds as young people. We are not lone rangers in becoming. We need some support system. And we didn't say that this is only going to be from religious. But look, let us not fall short of talking about believing in a higher power without living. A simple question: why would Christ choose the 12 apostles, train them for 3 years, and send them? When we have talked about having a tribe that we belong to, I want to pose this challenge to you as a young person. Can you list 150 people you currently relate with and give them categories? What are you learning from each and every person? Because yes, we have the potential to keep learning, at least from 150 who we have said influences our lives either positively or negatively. Become conscious. Who is your tribe? It's not going to be a business, a tribe as someone you speak the same language. It's no longer going to be a tribe, someone you believe in the same faith. A tribe is going to be much affected with all those people who surround you. Well and good. If you find that the 150 people you live with currently, you have the same faith, congratulations. It will be sad if you only say the 150 people who surrounds you, they speak the same language. How much will you learn? Well, a language is a means of communication. But having to relate only to people who speak the same language, it limits. How much do we need to learn from all people speaking different languages as a young person?
Religion provides a platform for creating healthy relationships, and over the years, we can say many people have met even their life partners in the context of church and as people are fellowshipping together. Also, in the same lens, we find that even young people, when they are involved, especially in church activities, you will find that they grow together. Maybe we have these youth groups, they can choose to do activities which will benefit them, and they learn a lot from the peers when they are doing these activities. For example, these activities include workshops which are organized. We also have mentorship programs, also camps, spiritual retreats and all that. So this provides an avenue for these young people to learn and also develop with peers together. So this will greatly influence young people, and it has influence also in the past. We find out that young people who sometimes indulge into such activities, they are more likely to have good morals, and also they are able to live a good life because they have guidance from their churches, and they are able to learn from one another.
We are grateful that we have made this connection of the three aspects that we want young people to deepen their awareness on. That is their culture, that need to take the consideration what they are learning every time, what they pass on or they will receive, that is tradition, and we have talked about doctrine that will shape them up so that they can have what we have finished talking about, a religious spirituality. I would wish to come to this point where I want to add two more aspects from my book, Our Whole Life is a Mission, that will be resourceful to any young person to make a difference in their lives. In this book, on page 28, I talk of counsel and fortitude, spare wheels of growth. And these, I use them to equip young people. When I quoted Dr. Prem Chagisya, who said this: at some point in our lives, each one of us requires mentoring, guidance, and counsel to get better clarity on our vision, passion, goals, and life in general. So today, we are doing exactly what Dr. Prim has already suggested. We are mentoring you, we are helping you to clear your vision so that you can live a purposeful life. As if that is not end of what you need to do, you realize that counsel will never stop. But you need it, and it can only come from someone who is mature. We trust what Josephine has said is from a mature end. What I'm trying to put across and what I've already written in my book, it's part of the counsel, but that is not enough. We need fortitude. But fortitude is when you take the courage to go through the difficult moment. This conviction of the young people to make their life purposeful need a serious life choice of who they want to be. You need to pause and answer the question, who am I? And that's why I want to get a quote of Catherine of Siena, who said this: be who you were created to be, and you will set the world on fire. As a young person, that's what we want to tell you today. Be who you were created to be. You know now, you can never make the life choice. You can never get this transition right from childhood to adulthood if you cannot take into consideration what you have said, the culture you need to learn and live, the tradition you need to receive and pass on, and to have it well connected. As Josephine said, a religious spirituality, where I love to say it, it is until we know ourselves that we can know God. As I quoted St. Teresa of Avila. Why is that important? We can only know that we need God for us to become who God has created us to be. Everything else will follow after this kind of knowledge. When I give you the two spare wheel, that you need counsel and fortitude. Yes, the two of us, we have counseled you. But what thing you need to do? You need to take the courage and make the right choice. Before we wind up, let's hear what Josephine has to say to you as young people.
I would like to encourage you young people that it is very important to be at that point whereby you are both spiritual and at the same time religious. And that's what we've termed today as religious spirituality. So it is important because you find meaning to life, and that will enable us to acquire that purpose, to meet our purpose in life. And also you are able to integrate with people in fellowship together. So it is very important for us young people. If you are having challenges in discovering your life purpose, please reach me and we can journey together, and I will help you discover your life purpose.
We are grateful to have you, Josephine, once again on this youth empowerment program, where you have encouraged the young people on how to get even out of the role identity confusion, as you said, Erickson. And this brings us to help young people to know that, yes, it is normal to go through confusion, to go through challenging moments, especially of discovering your life purpose. But I can tell you, the earlier you discover your purpose in life, the better you become. And that's why I would encourage you, if you want to know more, this book, Our Whole Life is a Mission, chapter 2, is all about self-discovery. And that's why I picked this big question. I have reflected. At what age do we need to discover what our life is all about? We have said it rightly, is from the age of an adolescent. If all that is right, if we don't know what we have gone through or what you are going through as a young person, you may find that even if you get to be 80, you will still be struggling for what you didn't learn right. We don't want to wish you to be struggling when you are old, but we want to prepare you as a young person to get the right information for you to know yourself, to discover the life purpose, and to live it. Wish you all the very best as we look forward to have you in our next lessons.